Commencing on December 8, 1941, the Japanese invasion moved swiftly and effectively with combined Imperial Army, Navy, and Air Forces. The Japanese ground forces quickly threw back the American and Filipino defenders, which slowly engaged in a tactical retreat to the mountainous peninsula of Bataan and the island of Corregidor on Manila Bay. Consequently, although MacArthur made all key decisions in defending the island from attack, he never received the necessary military equipment as well as critical Army, Navy, and air support needed to mount an effective defense. The only area of successful resistance to the Japanese took place at Bataan and Corregidor. From December 1941 to May 1942, the combined American-Filipino forces held the line against Japanese land and amphibious attacks. The beleaguered Bataan garrison, with skillful defensive tactics, drove back wave after wave of Japanese attacks. With limited artillery, machine guns, and ammunition, and the increasing short supply of food and medical supplies, the Bataan defenders were in a hopeless situation. General MacArthur continued to plead with Washington for reinforcements and materials, but the needed support never came. General MacArthur braced himself and his family to die alongside the Bataan and Corregidor garrisons. President Roosevelt had other ideas, however, because he was unwilling to allow America's most distinguished military leader to be killed or captured by the Japanese. On February 22nd, the President gave MacArthur a direct order to evacuate Corregidor, and so the general, along with his family and staff, left Corregidor on the evening of March 11, 1942, in 4 PT boats under the command of Captain John Buckley. Over 2 perilous days of travel, Buckley successfully guided the MacArthur entourage through 600 miles of Japanese-controlled waters to Mindanao in the southern Philippines. From an airfield in Mindanao, 2 B-17 bombers waited to take General MacArthur and his fellow evacuees to Australia. When MacArthur arrived in Australia on March 17, 1942, his B-17s were diverted to a remote airfield 50 miles south of Darwin because it was under Japanese attack. Shortly after landing, his entourage had to quickly evacuate the airfield in 2 DC-3 transports because of reports of rapidly incoming Japanese aircraft. Within a short time after MacArthur was ordered to Australia, the inevitable occurred and Bataan surrendered, followed shortly thereafter by Corregidor. The infamous Bataan Death March followed, and thousands of Filipino and American forces died in that tragic display of Japanese brutality. Safe in southern Australia, General MacArthur began to assess the situation of defending Australia and defeating the Japanese. Despite the fact that MacArthur was devastated by the surrender of the Philippines, he rallied the very undermanned U.S. and Australian forces and announced to the world,
"I said to the people of the Philippines whence I came, I shall return. Tonight, I repeat those words. I shall return.
I shall return." Those 3 words provided a lifeline of hope for Filipino and American guerrilla forces and for the Filipino people. The MacArthur headquarters phone in Australia and MacArthur's plane was named Bataan for the duration of the war in the Pacific. All of the MacArthur's military strategies and plans from that time forward focused on liberating the Philippines. MacArthur had a deep emotional attachment to the Philippines and the Filipino people, and they also trusted MacArthur and never lost faith that he would come back to liberate them from the Japanese.